Ashley, your Scrappy Nerd, and I'm back today with a layout for the YouTube hop called Rainbow Crush. And it's where we have a color of the month and we make our layout 75% of that color. And so this month's color is red. And so I pulled in my Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Dear Santa. When the color was red, I immediately thought of Christmas. And so I went to that collection, as well as I pulled in some ephemera from the 49 Market Christmas Spectacular. And I had the stickers and puffy stickers from the Simple Stories collection. And I pulled in the Nouveau Crystal Drops in Simply White and Autumn Red, but I actually didn't use the red. And so this was interesting because I wanted to add some dimension to a layout, and I had this idea, which you'll see in a minute, and I haven't decided if I love it, but I'll get into that. So I pulled in this paper as my background paper to mat my layout. So I love the idea of having the same color, but I don't do well with monochromatic layouts. And so I parted this hop because I'm like, okay, my 25%, I can add other colors. And so I am matting the layout with this. It has red in it, but it's not just a solid red. And that'll help bring in it has some green in it to bring in some other colors. But I'm gonna use this red plaid as my main background. And if it wasn't the Rainbow Crush, I'm gonna put a strip across the middle. And honestly, if it wasn't the red color, I probably would have used a green strip. And so I wanted to come up with some way to make the strip, even though it's red, stand out. So first I'm gonna distress my edges. You know that I love doing that. So I didn't do the layout matte paper, I just did the plaid paper. And so I distressed all the edges, and then I'm taking this red snowflake, and it's going to be the strip that I'm going to put down the center. And I thought that the snowflake and the plaid kind of were fun together, and they were red, both red, but still the patterns helped to kind of make it different. I thought I'd play off that. But I wanted to even make it stand out a little bit more. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking that snowflake paper and I just drew a line across the top, and then I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut strips from it so it kind of creates like a fringe. I have scissors that will do that, but I didn't want it to be thin pieces. I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I just used my regular scissors and cut strips from the whole length of it. You can see here. And so, I cut up to that line that I drew on the back side to try to make it so that they all stayed pretty symmetrical. And because I distressed the plaid, plus I want it to stand out, I went through and I edge distressed each of the strips that I cut. And this took some time. I don't know if there's a better way, but I just went through each piece and edge distressed all three sides, and it just kind of roughed them up, and then you can see the line between them. It doesn't blend in so much. And I wanted to put something across the top part that had where the cut parts end. And so the sticker sheet had this plaid black and white, and so here's where I'm going to start adding other colors. And those sticker sheets, they're never 12 by 12. So I just cut a little section off, and I'll hide it behind my photos because I wanted the strip to go from edge to edge of the plaid paper. And my photos I cut, and they are 2 by 3. And so I thought I pulled in this cut apart from the collection that was tags, and I'm going to use those as photo mats. I originally had the idea to make it look like ornaments, so the tags were gonna work to hold it to look like ornaments, but which I still think they kind of do, and that's the vibe that I was going for. But it got a little bit more complicated and more is more, as my layouts usually do. So, but I pulled in the tags, and as I was laying them out, I realized, so I have 5 photos, and it kind of, I originally was just going to drop them down the left side of the layout, but it got a little bunchy because I have 5 photos. So of course I'll cut this out, but I moved these things around a million times per usual. I was obsessed with where it goes, how to make them look like they were hanging ornaments. But I didn't want the photos to blend in with the tags, so I just took some black paper and photo mat all the photos, just a thin photo mat to sit on top of those tags. And I just really liked that the top of the tags had the different patterns from the collection, so it all kind of matches together, but it just brought in some of those extra colors. And this is when I'm starting to try to figure out how to get them like all down the left side, but it wasn't working. And so I did a close-up here. I took that string, it's DMC floss, that's like sparkly, it's copper, and I wrapped it around my fingers to kind of create just a bow, and I'll take another little piece and tie it in the center. And then I'll take my scissors and I'll cut the edges so it looks more like a fringe. I didn't want it to be a bow, but I wanted it to be gathered in the center. And so I cut the edges, and then I'll kind of twist the edge of that just to kind of make it a little distressed, a little fringy. And then I will glue that onto the tag hole from the tag. And the idea is to make it look like these are hanging. So I will then, I don't know if I'll show immediately next or not, but I will then poke holes through the tag hole and put string through it, and then run that string up over the top of the plaid piece of paper, but you'll see that in a minute. So I wanted to take this fringe and I wanted to add dimension to my layout, and I've never done like a full piece of dimension, so I thought it would be fun if I took each of these fringe and kind of pushed them up a little bit so that there was like a hump in the layout. And that's the reason why I cut strips and I distressed the edges so that it wasn't just a full piece of paper that kind of did like a hump in the middle. I thought the fringe would catch the light at different dimensions, and then with all the distressing, you would be able to see each of the strips. And so I just took a piece of my glue tape and I put it across the layout. It helps that it was plaid because I just ran it evenly with one of the lines from the paper, and then I just kind of pushed up each piece and glued it down so it creates this little hump. I don't know how well it will stand in the albums. I don't know if it'll get pushed down, so that's kind of a experiment, and it just part of them might get pushed down. I think you'll still see dimension, but again, that's the fun. We just experiment and we see what happens. And I really like how it turned out, and I think distressing really helped each of those little strips kind of stand out. You'll see the close-ups at the end. But here's where I was saying I was putting the string and just kind of making it so that they look like they are hanging. And I had to put that one picture more across the top to the right instead of having them all hang down the left side because I just had too many photos. And I really had this idea of like ornaments hanging down the left side. So I might have to redo that idea in another layout, but maybe make it circles so it looks like ornaments and just have them hanging on the left side of the layout. I think that would look really nice. But I like how this one turned out. So then I went through the 49 Market Christmas Spectacular and pulled in, it says December up there at the top, the poinsettia. I loved the Santa that I put down there in the bottom right, the season's greetings. And then I went through the foam stickers from the Simple Stories and just chose the title Jolly. This is just pictures of us at my mom's house at Christmas, and we are just being goofy and taking all the photos. As a side note, it's funny because the Raiders and the 49ers were playing football that day, And my husband and I are house divided, so we both were wearing our jerseys for Christmas photos, which is kind of funny. But either way, this was a fun moment and all these fun photos to scrapbook, and I just really liked getting them all on one page. And so doing the smaller versions of them helped that. But anyways, make sure you check out the playlist below. There's for all the people that are making red layouts today. Thank you again to everyone who has liked and subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit those buttons below. And as always, if you hit the little bell, you can be notified when I have a new video. But thanks everyone, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.